Hey guys, sorry if I'm a little dirty. I've been planting all day, but before I get started on the tomato planting video, if you're enjoying my videos, please plant your finger on that like button and help me grow my channel. I'm sure I'm not the first one to use that, but isn't that cute? So let's get planting. So today is tomato planting day. It is May 1st. Today, if you plant with it's called planting by the signs. Today's a really fertile day to plant things in the ground. I don't always follow that. Sometimes when I want to plant, I'm just going to plant whether it says it's a good day or not. But today's a good day and I want to plant some tomatoes, so that's what we're going to do. So I have these trellises, and they're 16-foot trellises, and the bed is, I think, about 17 or 18 foot because it doesn't quite go all the way across. I have one single T-post there to hold a tomato, and that is for the first 3 beds here. Well, this one here has 2 8-foot trellises, but same gist. It's still 16 feet when you add them together. I'm going to at least plant these first 2 beds because I think I need to add some dirt into this one. It's kind of compacted down a little bit and it's too far from the trellis. Let me go through and show you what I'm planting in this first row. Beauty King, Hillbilly, Yellow Brandywine, Watermelon Beefsteak Flame, Trophy, Black Crim, Cherokee Purple, Moon Glow, Large Barred Boar, Abe Lincoln, Church, Oma's Orange, Wood's Famous Brimmer, Black Brandywine, and Soldaki. So I'm going to plant them about, I think I have 16 of those here, and I'm planting them about a little over a foot apart. So you see, this is where the trellis ends, and there's still just a little bit of bed. So I prune my tomato plants pretty heavily, usually down to one to 2 stems. If you're not going to prune, you're supposed to space them about 3 feet apart because they will get very, very bushy. They're vines. Tomato plants are vines, so if you don't prune them, they will go kind of crazy all over the place. Also, if you don't trellis them up, they will just spread all over the ground, again, because they're a vine. So I trellis mine up and I prune them heavily, and that helps with keeping them aerated and from developing diseases and things like that. All right, so let me show you. So when I plant the tomatoes, I'm going to add into the hole a few different things. Usually I do a handful of peat moss. This just helps with moisture retention and makes the soil a little more acidic, which tomatoes like. Then I've got a mixture of all kinds of things here. I'll throw pictures up of exactly what it is, but basically it's like fine granuled vegetable fertilizer, bigger granuled vegetable fertilizer. There's also Epsom salt in here, and that helps with transplant shock. And then in this container, this is just pulverized eggshells, and I usually put a big handful of that, and that adds calcium to the soil, which is good for your plants as well. I plant my tomatoes deep. I'll show you how I do that. So I prune off a bunch of the lower leaves, like I'll prune this one, and I'll take this one off, and then I'm going to plant the tomato down really deep. It's because if you look at all these little fibers coming off there, those are roots. Those are potential roots. If this were to touch the ground, which it will, because I'm going to put it down into the ground that deep, all those little fibers will become lovely little roots to make this plant nice and strong. So you can see my tomato plants, some of them are really gorgeous looking, and some of them not so much. They'll be fine. They'll bounce back once they're in the ground. They'll find what they'll need. I'm going to plant them down deep. Some of them that are like this, you see how it's flopped over? I'm actually going to plant it sideways, like dig a trench and just lay this whole thing down into the ground. And some people will do that with all their tomatoes, lay them down flat, and what will happen is the green part, it'll start growing upwards. So wherever you want your top to grow upwards, you just dig a trench over and plant your stem down into the ground. And again, it'll just grow roots, and it makes for a healthier plant. One other thing I'm going to do, so from what I've heard, carrots are a good companion plant for tomatoes. And I saw these, and I've never tried to grow carrots with seed tape. So I thought I'm going to put just one row right in front of the tomatoes that I plant in these first 2 beds. And let's see, this is 22.5 feet. So I'll have a little bit extra. So this row is going to be like beefsteak types, and then my second row I'm going to do my cherry tomatoes. All right, let's get to planting. Okay, so we're going to start over here with Beauty King. So right now I've got a nice layer of leaf mulch on the top, and I'm just going to push that off to the side a bit. And dig a nice deep hole. Got some really nice looking soil here. And then I'm gonna drop my tomato plant down in and see, is that where I want it? I think I want it just a little lower. And that should be good. Let me show you. So I've got a nice deep hole right there. And put my tomato plant down in it, and that'll go quite far. And I'm going to take off, just snip with my fingernail, take off that leaf and take off this one, and I'm going to take off this one too. And that still leaves a good amount of leaves for the plant to photosynthesize and a nice stem to bury. And then into the hole I'm going to add a handful of peat moss, nice handful of fertilizer, and a nice handful of eggshells. And I'm going to mix that in really well. Just mix it all together, because you don't want the root system of your tomato plant to just be sitting right on top of a bunch of fertilizer. It'll burn the roots. So mix it in really well with the dirt. And then you're going to pop your plant out. And you can see this one needed to get out of there. Do you see how those roots are curled around the container? It was in there too long. But it'll be okay. And then we're going to just scoot the dirt back over it. Make sure we label it. So I'm going to put the label off behind it, since I'm going to plant a row of carrots in front of it. Then you're going to put a nice thick layer of mulch around just where the tomato is sitting. The rest of the bed is mulched over with the leaves, and that'll be fine to help retain the moisture. But right around here, I want the nice thick layer of, and then I'm going to compost these. So this one here is kind of sad and droopy and bleh. So I'm going to actually bury it sideways. So let's see. Start it right here in the front and bring it forward toward the trellis. That's what I'll do. Okay. Move this off to the side here. Try not to bury my markers. So this one I don't have to go down as deep because I'm going long ways. All right, so let's lay it down in there and see if it fits. So I want the top to be right under the, and do some peat moss, fertilizer, eggshell. And there's different ways to plant tomatoes. Some people actually put a fish head into their hole. Some people will put a whole egg. I've done that before. You just gotta find what you like to do, what works for you. Okay, so make sure you take off these bottom leaves here. And I think that's pretty good. And then you're gonna, I'm just laying it down like that. And what will happen, I'm gonna bury it and then leave this part out, and it will grow upwards. It's gonna grow towards the light. So let's make sure and there, that's what it looks like. So I'm just gonna keep going down the row doing the same thing. Look at all them worms. That's a good thing. That is a good thing to see worms. Look at them. Ooh, they aerate your soil. They add nutrition to your soil. That's how you know you got healthy soil, if you got worms. Ooh, lots of worms. Lots of worms. Okay, so they are all planted, and then I put a thick layer of the wood chip mulch around it. The reason I do that is because it retains moisture so that I don't have to water these a lot. Normally, I don't water my tomato plants that much. I'm going to try to do better this year, but I don't have an irrigation system, and you know, I'm on a cliff here trying to garden, and it's a little difficult maneuvering the hose around, so usually I just take the lazy way out and hope that Mother Nature provides what my plants need. And I mean, I get tomatoes. They may not be the healthiest plants in the past, but like I said, I'm going to try to do better this year, so we'll see. So I've got this first row planted. Now I'm going to go pick out the cherry tomatoes that I'm going to plant in this second row, and I'm going to get them all planted. There's a couple already down there, the bumblebees. All right, so I've got them all picked out here. I was going to do the whole row cherry tomato plants, but here at the end there's a few that I got tired of looking for the cherry tomato plants, so I just picked out a few beefsteaks. All right, first is pink bumblebee, purple bumblebee, sunrise bumblebee, Berry's crazy cherry, gobstopper, blue boreberries, Isis candy cherry, rosella cherry, tropical sunset, super sweet 100. Oh, I've got two Isis candy cherries. That's okay, whatever. Bosque blue bumblebee, black cherry, sun peach hybrid. I'm excited about that one, so I'm going to plant two. And then this is a Chef's Choice orange and a Dr. Weish's yellow, and then my one and only tomatillo that doesn't look so hot, but I'm going to plant it anyways. So we're going to get those all planted just like we did this row up here, and then I'll show you when I'm all finished. Okay guys, all planted up except for this one right here. I'm getting tired, and you can tell when you're getting tired whenever you start being careless and decapitating your tomato plants. That one wasn't that great anyways, or that healthy, so I'll replace that one later because I'm pooped. I'm done. Some of them are looking a little yellow. They'll pep back up now that they're in the ground, hopefully. We're getting a good rain, so I don't even need to water them in. What you see, these little white things, I just went ahead and preemptively put down some slug and snail bait because it never fails. Past years, I haven't done that, and a few days after I plant my tomatoes, I come out and there will be holes all in the leaves because there are slugs climbing up and munching on them. So I'm preemptively just feeding them something else that will destroy them. Okay, so the carrot set, this is the directions. It says dig a furrow in well-worked soil. Then you just lay the seed tape down in that, and then you cover it. Sow in deep, well-worked, stone-free soil after danger of heavy frost. Well, we're way past heavy frost. Half an inch, cover with a half an inch of fine soil. Keep moist. So it's raining right now, so. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it comes right out of the packet. It's like this, and let me unfold it. It's this very, like, toilet paper, well, even thinner than toilet paper thin, and it's got 3 rows that are perforated, so you just separate those out and then lay them on the ground and cover them with a half an inch of soil, and you can see the little seeds embedded in there. Looks like some of them have like more than one seed to it, so you still might have to do some thinning, even though, see, there's 2 right beside each other. If they both sprout, you'd have to thin those. All right, so seed tape is all laid out. I did a couple rows in this bed up here, and then there's just 1 long row in that bed up there. I am just going to take handfuls of this and just lightly cover the tape up. Once I've got about 1/4 of an inch, I'm going to press down, make sure there's no air pockets. It's going to rain really nice tonight, so it'll water them in well. And that's it. Then I'm going to be done, and I'll give you an update on what they look like when they sprout.